my friends, this is Gabriel with the Last Huntsman channel here, and this is just going to be a quick how-to video. And what I'm going to show how to do is how to dye and stain micarta handles. And the knife I'm going to use on this is the Tops Cut 4.0. I really like this knife. However, these scales aren't exactly the best color in the world. They're kind of like a bright brownish orange kind of color. And the other day I was talking to Chris from Preparedmind 101, and so this is kind of a shout out to him as well, because on his channel he was talking about his knife that he made, the bushbat made by Bark River. And I was telling him that this is a very similar knife and he should try it out, or maybe even compare it to his on his channel. And he was saying that he didn't like the handle scales color of it, and like another one he mentioned was the Andy Trans knife. I can't remember what it's called now, but I'll annotate it in the bottom. But so I'm gonna show you guys how you can actually dye micarta handles. First of all, I figured I'd show you guys some knives I have already done this to, like my Becker BK9 here. If you guys ever grabbed the micarta handle scales for them, they come like a bright white. And I stained these handle scales with green dye. I've done the same to my SE Hunglas. Cut me a choil on there, but that's besides the fact. But also done it with my Becker BK9 or 7, sorry. Done some Duracoating on these. But I will make a note. A knife that you might not be able to get this done with is like the LT Wrights and maybe some of the Bark Rivers with that heavily polished micarta. The micarta that works the best for dyeing them is when they're pretty rough, just coarse micarta. I'm not exactly sure the differences in them all, but from my experience it works best when it's kind of more of a rough micarta, and that's why I'm more than sure it's going to work on a Tops Cut 4.0, just because it is a rather rough micarta. The dye that I'm going to be using is just RIT liquid dye. You can get it at Walmart in the laundry detergent aisle usually, and it's like $2-3 for it. It's very cheap. I'm using Emerald. So let's dye this Tops Cut 4.0 and see what we get. Alright, so first of all, I'm out here at the well, and I got me a solo cup here, or maybe a cheap off-brand version, don't really matter. But just gonna fill this up about 3/4 full. Alright, second of all, I'm just gonna add my dye. Got my cup of water here. I'm gonna put a pretty generous amount. It's not very often that I need to dye things anyways, so then I'm gonna have to stir it. I don't got a spoon or anything out here, so got a handy dandy Spyderco Endura 4. I'll do just the trick. I'm not going to harm that stainless steel. Alright, now it's time to set up the knife to dye. Alright, now that I got my dye all set up, I need to just dye the micarta handle scales. And usually I just take the micarta off. However, Tops kind of on their warranty, they say not to take the micarta scales off for whatever reason. I don't know why. I'm not going to really worry about it. So here goes nothing. Let's dye these micarta handle scales here. Just undunk this blade in there, and then I'll just make sure to oil it real good when I'm done. Now it's not going to take very long to dye these, so I'll give it a few minutes and see what happens. Alright, so it's been about 30 minutes and I think it's going to be as dyed as it's going to get, so here, let's just take a look on how it's going to look here. Not sure if you guys can see that. That is actually pretty interesting looking. It still has parts of the brownish to it, but it also has a green to it as well. Definitely has a unique look to it. Kind of impressed with that. Let me dry this up and get some oil on it and stuff and make sure I don't get any rust on it. Alright, so this is the final, this is what it finally looks like after I've stained it. And it's kind of weird because it kind of got in between the grooves but didn't, but I really kind of like how it looks. It looks really interesting. But this is to everybody, but also I'll try to get this to Preparedmind 101 and show them, hey, you know what, you can stain micarta handles if you don't like them. You might even stain your hands a little bit while doing it, but it can be done. And I think it looks a lot better like this too. Looks a lot more sleek and classic. So I'm just going to wrap this up real quick. With that being said, my friends, be prepared both physically and spiritually. God bless and carry on.